Please make sure to remember, everyone, that this is my opinion, but I wanted to share the top 10 in my mind cards in Battle for Zendikar. These are just personal favorites. They don't necessarily mean that, the cards that you like suck or anything. These are just the ones that I'm particularly fond of. They'd be cards I'd put into decks or... Well, no, that's pretty much it. These are cards that I would put into decks because they're just that amusing to me. So I guess we should start off at number 10. So coming up at number 10, we got ourselves a whole mess of cards because I can't really narrow them down. They all kind of do the same thing, except for two of them. But, well, first two, the man lands, as they're called, the Lumbering Falls and the Shambling Vent. Excellent, excellent, excellent lands. I hope to see more of these lands in the future sets. And, of course, the Battle lands or the Tango lands. Just easier mana fixing, and you never really can complain about that. They come into the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. And that's not super hard to do. So as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty good. Pretty good deal. Bang for the buck. Always worth value, right? Coming in at number 9, we have Void Winnower. And they've never really printed anything like this before. It's really hard to gauge what it's going to do in the meta for Standard, or probably too expensive to see Modern or Legacy play, but I mean, legitimately, your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana costs, and 0 is even, bye-bye Hangerback Walker. Your opponents can't block with creatures with even converted mana costs. Yeah. This, in a ramp deck or something, it's a lot of fun. At number 8, we have an uncommon, Halamer Tidecaller. 1 blue, 2 others for 2/3 when it enters the battlefield. Yeah, you can just, take any of those cards in your graveyard with Awaken, put them in your hand, and all the lands that you've awoken, or basically all land creatures, your man lands count as well, they all have flying. So, if you're doing an Awaken thing, like, a lot of planar outbursts, or, I can't remember the blue counterspell's name at the moment, but, that spell, or the New Hero's Downfall, or any of the, thousands of other spells with Awakening, this gets them back. So you can use your 4 counterspells 8 times, theoretically. Just so good. Coming in at number 7, and some are going to feel this is way too early on the list, and I can totally agree with you right now, is Ob Nixilis the Reignited. 2 black, 3 others for a Planeswalker with loyalty of 5, so he's nice and healthily good with the mana cost. His +1, draw a card, lose 1 life. That's not hard to do at all. It's just pure card advantage, a great +1. He also has a -3, destroy target creature, so he protects himself. A very important thing for a Planeswalker to have is self-protection. And the -8 is just hilarious. Target opponent, they get an emblem with whenever any player draws a card, you lose 2 life. So even without using the +1 on Ob Nixilis or any other card draw shenanigans, every turn cycle, they are guaranteed to lose 4 life. That puts them on a clock real quick. Just, just the black Planeswalker Abzan wanted. And coming in at number 6, we have Ulamog, the Ceaseless Hunger. Pretty much a strict upgrade from his last version, which isn't a bad thing. But he's 10 mana for a 10/10 Legendary Eldrazi. When you cast him, exile 2 target permanents. Just boom, gone. The 2 biggest threats on the board, gone. He's indestructible, which is really helpful. And he just has this little funny clause here that says, whenever he attacks, defending player exiles the top 20 cards of his or her library. 2 swings in Standard, you're probably just toast at this point. Oblivion Sower, he loves this guy. Because, when you cast him, you're going to get just a ton of land. And, just exiling the library, it's a win condition, and if they can't stop Ulamog from swinging, they're in for a world of trouble. Coming in at number 5, we have a wonderful little card called Quarantine Field. 2 white, X, X, so you gotta pay the X twice. But when he enters the battlefield, he'll come in. This enchantment. It'll come into the battlefield with X isolation counters on it. When it enters the battlefield, for each isolation counter that is on this card, exile up to one target non-land permanent an opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. AKA, pay 4 mana. You've just Oblivion Ringed one thing. Anything that isn't a land. You pay 6. Pay 6. Yeah, and then you get 2 things. Then, you pay 8, you get 3 things, and just as the game goes on, this just gets better and better. Now, you gotta be really careful to protect this thing, because when it gets removed itself, yeah, these problems, they're gonna come back and haunt you, and you don't want that to happen, so this is probably more for a control counter-heavy kind of deck, but you gotta acknowledge the awesomeness. There's a reason it's mythic. It may not be worth much at this current time, but there's a reason it's mythic. It's bananas. Number 4, what do we have for you? We got Planar Outburst. Another one of those Awaken cards that I referred to with the Halamer Tidecaller. Yeah, 2 white, 3 others. Destroy all non-land creatures. So it's a white board wipe. What's the big deal? It has Awaken 4. 3 white, 5 others. And when you cast it, you still destroy all non-land creatures, but then one of your creatures turns into a 4/4 elemental with haste. It is still a land. So with shenanigans with things like Halamer Tidecaller, or even like Den Protector or something, you can just keep using this shit over and over and over and over and over, and it just makes control that much easier for control players. Very good card. One that should definitely be considered for the colors that it's running. Number 3, we got another Planeswalker, Kiora, Master of the Depths. I really wanted to rate this higher, but I can't, because the next 2 cards are really good. But this definitely deserves some recognition. This this Planeswalker is a Sultai player's wet dream. I mean, just look at it. 1 blue, 1 green, 2 others for a 4 loyalty Planeswalker. +1. Untap up to 1 target creature and up to 1 target land. Suppose you got the Awaken thing going on. You can get 2 land creatures. Or maybe you're just untapping a mana dork and a land. Doesn't matter, it's pure value. You can set up a blocker if you need to, so she defends herself that way. Decent +1 ability. Now, it starts to get nuts when you get down to the -2, and it's all reveal the top 4 cards of your library, and you can pick a creature card and or a land card from among them, put them in your hand, dump the rest in the graveyard. Sultai players, any player really, is going to love this. Because, yeah, it's just card advantage. Card advantage is good. The ultimate, the -8, is just the funniest thing you'll ever see. You get an emblem that says, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you can have it fight target creature. That's a weird emblem for you to get, but then it also says, after you get that emblem, then you put 3 8/8 blue octopus creature tokens onto the battlefield, so you're going to be throwing 24 damage at their creatures. Needless to say, that it's going to be rough, and then every creature you play after that, you're going to be fighting other creatures, and it's just wonderful to see. Give it a try if you ever get there. For number 2, I've picked Bring to Light. I don't know if this would be a controversial choice or not, because I think this card's already kind of proven just how fucking silly it is. Pardon the cursing, but yeah, this card is just ridiculous. It's 1 blue, 1 green, 3 others for a sorcery. Gotta cast it on your own turn. That's the only real downside to it. But it has Converge. Search your library for a creature, instant, or sorcery card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast Bring to Light. Then you exile that card, then you shuffle your library, and the card that you just went for, the creature, the instant, or the sorcery, you can now cast it without paying its mana cost. So in a 3, 4, 5 color deck, you can just fill your deck with one-ofs that are 5 mana or less, depending on what you want to do. And, oh, alarm's going off. Interesting. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. This will just tutor whatever you need. It's a toolbox dex. Just, it's the answer that you're looking for. Rally's a thing, Converge is a thing, and just the more colors in your deck, the better this card gets. The harder the mana fixing is, but the better this card gets. And our number one, I'm sure you all saw this coming a mile away. This guy is just a house. Like, just such a good planeswalker. I was so sad when we lost Elspeth. But then they printed this, and I was like, in some ways this can be better than Elspeth. I mean, Elspeth was amazing, but this one's cheaper. It's 2 white, 2 others for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. +1. The Planeswalker Gideon, ally of Zendikar, becomes a 5/5 human soldier ally creature that's indestructible, and it's still a Planeswalker. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to him this turn. So he's a beat stick. His +1 turns him into a beat stick that can't be killed. He can be exiled, that is a thing. But for 4 mana, the beat stick, I'm okay with that. His second ability is a 0. The loyalty does not go up or down, but you get to put a 2/2 White Knight ally creature token into the battlefield. So, as you saw with his +1, Gideon synergizes with allies very well. The thing where he makes the tokens to synergize with the allies is possibly even better, because just whenever you need to cast an ally to trigger all the rally triggers, Gideon's here for you. His ultimate is a -4. You can do it as soon as you cast this card if you need to. But you get an emblem. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Anthem effect on a stick. You can drop them, just Anthem, and then all your creatures are just permanently bigger, because you can't get rid of emblems. Or, you could +1 him, just so if he doesn't get hit with anything, you can ultimate him and still keep him there. This card is just bonkers. I think right now it's like running around $50, and I can see why. It's pretty strong. Very strong, really. So it should be no surprise that this is the number 1. So, that's my list. What's yours? Leave it in the comment section down below, and I'll be sure to read it. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this list. Share it around, too. All us Magic players love looking at these lists. They're fun. And until next time, this is Dottie saying, bye-bye.